Welcome back to Definitely Not Definitive. I'm Ken.
And I'm Bethany.
And we're just a fantastic couple in love that loves reacting to some Fallout.
It's Fallout time!
Yeah! Which you know what that means?
It means it's time for a drink. And we got the newest one! Alright, so this is what we call a stim pack spritzer.
Yep.
Which isn't any good without the stim pack.
Yeah, inject it.
Boom.
Cheers.
Cheers!
Okay, so we're continuing with the Fallout Storyteller series. We're doing Fallout Season 1, Episode 6, The New California Republic.
And it's a big one because, we've heard so much about the New California Republic without actually knowing anything about them.
Yep. And if you want all of our Fallout reactions, we got a playlist down below in the description of this video, along with a link to our Patreon. You can get early ad-free access to this series and other series that we cover as well, and other stuff on Definitely Not Definitive Games. So, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
You've experienced the Fallout series in your own way, but want to learn more about its story. Well, to get to the heart of the story, you have to go back to the beginning.
This is a great intro.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
I don't know if we've said it in every video, but I've definitely thought it every time we watch it. I'm like, what a great intro.
It doesn't set the mood, it just gets you ready for each episode.
Mm-hmm.
Tired of life in the new California Republic? Want to enjoy a weekend with no pesky laws or nosy government looking over your shoulder? Come to New Reno and experience the wasteland as it was meant to be experienced.
Nice.
Stock up on your favorite chems like Psycho, Buff Out, and that new Reno sensation, Jet. Enjoy a visit to one of our many brothels, or even become the star of your own adult holotape. No money? No problem. Our merchants accept pre-war magazines, lumps of ore, and use jet nozzles as payment. It's a new world with new rules, and New Reno is the biggest little town in the wasteland.
Humility is a virtue in the wasteland. One will not find dignity when scavenging in a pile of rubble. Those who are lucky enough to be born into prosperity should know that their way of life can vanish in a moment. Likewise, those who come from humble beginnings must believe that they have the potential to build empires, lead armies, or heal the world around them. Each generation has seen would-be conquerors who seek to forge their own utopia from the ashes of the old world. But the most successful attempt at rebuilding has come from the most humble of origins. Shady Sands sounds like the sort of thing you'd read on a pre-war postcard. A tropical getaway for bored families in the old world. But Shady Sands was actually a little village in California, made up of the people who came out of one of the vaults. Lucky for them, their vault, number 15, wasn't so bad.
Good.
At least when compared to some of the other ones.
One of the few.
It was designed to open 50 years after the Great War, and its inhabitants were well supplied, even though they were deliberately made up of people who Vault-Tec knew wouldn't get along. They managed to keep from killing each other until the doors opened. Then most of Vault 15's inhabitants tore through the wasteland, forming some of the worst raider gangs the wasteland would ever see. Even the great cons today can trace their heritage back to the hooligans who came out of Vault 15. Not all of them are troublemakers like the cons, though. Quite a few decided to settle down and build a farming town. They had some gadgetry from the vault that made Shady Sands a prosperous little place. But that prosperity also made them a target. Raiders attacked Shady Sands without mercy, even going so far as to kidnap the mayor's daughter. Superstitious folk will say it was destiny that brought the Vault Dweller to Shady Sands at their time of need. Or maybe it was just because Vault 13 happened to be located nearby, and people are always in need. For whatever reason, Shady Sands was the first place that tested the now famous Vault Dweller. This was before that kid from Vault 13 became the hero of the wasteland. The example set by the heroics of the Vault Dwellers stuck with the people who lived in Shady Sands. Folk like Eridesh, Tandy, and Seth. Names that will go in the history books once someone starts writing down history again.
Oh, it's got two heads.
The Hub, and other places that the Vault Dweller passed through all felt the same call to be a part of something greater. The mayor of Shady Sands, Eridesh, guided the most influential communities of the 22nd century. Each one had played some small role in saving the wasteland, and this brought them together. In those early years of this new California Republic, even the Brotherhood of Steel was an ally. their original headquarters being right in the heart of the NCR. That alliance lasted about as long as you'd expect, but it shows that the Brotherhood and the NCR could get along. Aradesh was made president for life of the NCR. He lived a good long life,
President
but
for
like
life?
many old
That
men,
always
he
works out.
wanted to head out on a few final adventures before death came calling. He disappeared out in the wasteland one day, probably looking for his old friend, the Vault Dweller. We're not sure exactly how it ended for Aradesh. When they write those NCR history books, they'll probably make up something suitably noble and heroic for his last adventure. With Aradesh gone, the natural successor was his daughter Tandy. The official records don't like to dwell on the way that President Tandy once had to be rescued from the Khans by the Vault Dweller. Getting kidnapped wouldn't seem very presidential, but that sort of humbling experience helped mold her into an ambitious leader who was wise enough to know the dangers of the wasteland around her.
She overcame
She
it.
led the NCR until she was nearly 100 years old,
My goodness.
a ripe old age for someone who never mutated, and she spent the whole time trying to unify the towns north of the NCR.
Especially in a post-apocalyptic world to be
While
able to live to
places
100.
like the Hub and Boneyard were glad to join the NCR, up north things were a bit trickier. The Republic had access to some pre-war tech from Vaults 15 and 13, but that was nothing compared to the wonders of Vault City. Vault City was the community that surrounded Vault 8, and it was the embodiment of everything that Vault Tech had promised people before the war. It was one of the few vaults that opened right on schedule, just a few years after the war, and the happy people inside emerged to build their own private Garden of Eden, with a little help from Vault Tech's Garden of Eden creation kit. The folks that ran Vault City had a stranglehold on their territory. They had the finest medical equipment available, and a security force to defend it. Plus, plenty of outsiders who were willing to become servants in exchange for a safe place to live.
I
They
imagine.
didn't need to be part of this new California Republic, and neither did nearby towns like New Reno, Redding, and Broken Hills. Even the NCR's mother vault, Vault 15, had fallen into disrepair by the time that Tandy was nearing the end of her presidency. And Vault 13, well, the original inhabitants had been relocated by the Enclave, and a new group of occupants had taken up residency. Good conversationalists by all accounts, but not the sort that most people would want as neighbors.
They're like living
The NCR
gargoyles.
was so keen on expanding their territory that they even resorted to playing dirty tricks on Vault City to get them to join and share their medical supplies with the rest of the Republic. For all its good intentions, the NCR was heading down a road to the cutthroat politics of the old days. The wasteland isn't prone to unity. Many would-be rulers discovered that the hard way, and it was a lesson the NCR was all too familiar with. In the years since, the NCR has had a series of presidents, none of which managed to rule with the insight of Aradesh or Tandy. The new leadership has still added some territory to the Republic, though, parts of Nevada, Arizona, Oregon, and Mexico too. With the Pacific Ocean to the west, that only leaves the east for further conquest, and the current leadership of the new California Republic had been steadily spreading their influence through Nevada and Arizona for years. Other factions had long since held territory there too, like the Brotherhood of Steel. An alliance between the NCR and the Brotherhood might have held up if there hadn't been such an abundance of amazing technology at stake. Just a little ways over the border in Nevada, the Brotherhood had discovered a solar power station called Helios 1. It not only had the potential to provide energy for half the wasteland, but it also controlled an orbiting satellite that could focus sunlight into a deadly beam.
Oh,
Whoa.
They
damn.
always loved their death rays, and they could never let anyone else get their hands on something like that. It was an unprecedented struggle between the Brotherhood and the NCR for control of the facility. To the Brotherhood, it meant keeping a devastating weapon in safe hands, and to the NCR, it meant providing electricity to all of their citizens. Good intentions all around, but everyone was still certain that their side deserved Helios more than the other side. The Brotherhood Paladins have terrifying weapons in their metal-clad hands, but the NCR has soldiers gathered from all over the Republic. A vast army of patriots who are willing to die for the idea of building a nation, state by state. Although numbers aren't the only thing that the NCR has, they have the Rangers. Even before the Great War, the West had need of soldiers and lawmen. For centuries, some of the finest of them adopted the title of Ranger, and today's NCR Rangers are made up of the best men and women that the Republic has to offer. They fight to bring law and order to this new West, and that's a powerful motivation for those who can temper their optimism with resolve. The Rangers aren't feared because of the power of their weapons or the sophistication of their armor. The Rangers are feared because of their skill and relentless loyalty to the Republic. They aren't born and bred for this elite position like in the Brotherhood or the Enclave. The Rangers are but humble soldiers who volunteer for the privilege of serving their fellow man.
That's
With
cool.
such loyalty in their multitudes of soldiers, it shouldn't be a surprise that the NCR seized Helios 1. With it, they just might have enough power to light up everything west of the Colorado River. That is, if they can ever get the thing running properly. But Helios is only one of their plans to restore civilization to the world. Right in the middle of the desert, there's a great river and a huge pre-war dam that once pulled electricity right out of the flowing water. A feat of engineering, this great wall was named after one of the old presidents of a dead empire. The Hoover Dam, they called it. The NCR wanted that dam, but they discovered they weren't alone. The Colorado River had kept the Republic separated from another army, a veritable legion of bloodthirsty killers. But that is a story for another
Oh
day.
no! Come on, don't stop it there.
I know. What a great. Their cliffhangers are the best.
Yeah, they really are. And like, I mean, we have met some unsavory characters from Fallout, but
Yeah.
like, that's looking like it's going to be the worst so far.
Yep, that looks juicy.
Juicy.
It does. It does.
Oh boy.
And so I like this one, the New California Republic, and how I like that they weren't able to get everyone on their side, and they had to get it to Vault City and New Reno, and so there's still some people like within their own territory that they don't occupy. And with the whole thing with the Brotherhood and like wanting to control Helios, it was it just like I couldn't help but think, you know, you both want it for a good reason. Why can't you like both like share it and like, you know, you'll have both have electricity, and then you can both like, you know, protect it so that this death ray doesn't get used by either side and that no one else uses it. I guess in this world it's just hard to trust people if they're not in your own like faction.
Well, even before the apocalypse
Yeah.
hits, you know, I think it's safe to say that there are many countries in our current world that don't play nice with each other.
Yeah, true.
But to your point, they have all collectively decided that nobody owns Antarctica. And that is, you know, essentially a shared entity or an entity that is off limits from control because it is so necessary to the world. So, you know, even our world can do it sometimes. I liked the fact that, you know, it returns to the roots of sort of like cowboys, you know, with the Ranger story and everything. I just found that interesting how, you know, history does repeat itself. And even in the post-apocalyptic world of Fallout, we still find ourselves going back to the Old West and the cowboys and this return to the defenders of law and order. And I just found that to be kind of fun. I also liked the bit about talking about the president for forever, whose name I've already forgotten. But the fact that, you know, he decides he wants one more adventure. He goes out into the desert and he doesn't return. And, oh, well, I'm sure the history books will write something noble and this and that. And I just found that to be a fun social commentary because it is important to document history. But who documents it? People. We document it. And we all have our own prejudices and perspectives and our own heroes and our own villains. And the people who are writing the history are very likely to inject some of that bias, even if unintentionally, into how they interpret it for the storybooks. And so, obviously, in this case, it would be very intentional to make up his ending. But still, I just, you know, that was a parallel to our world.
I also like the fact that the Rangers were the reason that they were able to take, that NCR was able to take Helios, because they weren't somebody that was like bred for it or like designated, like you must do this. It must be at the front of the line in battle. It's like people that wanted to, that believed in the cause strongly enough and wanted to, you know, protect their beliefs and fight for their beliefs. And that it will always provide a stronger, I feel like, you know, stronger soldiers, stronger fight for someone than like the Brotherhood, which a lot of like, you know, just based on what they were saying, they're like sort of like born into a certain role. And it's like, when you don't feel like you have a choice and it's like, okay, well, I got to do this because this is just what I'm meant to do. I don't feel like, you know, you just have that, like, not that you're not going to fight strongly for it. I mean, I'm sure they still do have, you know, fight for their beliefs and, you know, they believe that like, this is what I was born to do. So I'm going to fight for it. But like, it's just that little extra bit that you get from somebody that is choosing to do it that I think makes a difference.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, I think, when people thrive best when they are supported and entrusted, and able to act on their passions. What lights a fire inside of them? What do they feel a calling for? That I think will always generate better results because it will generate a higher level of dedication and creativity to achieve whatever the goals are. Then, my mom was it and my sister was it and now I'm it, and it's a great family tradition.
Yeah.
Yay. Which isn't to say that some people have family traditions that they absolutely love. And it is so ingrained as a badge of pride. And that's wonderful if you can have both the family tradition that also happens to light a fire in your soul. But I have a feeling that's the more rare scenario.
It was also interesting that NCR was starting to fall back into some of the deceitful tactics they were talking about with Vault City, because to try to get them on their side, they started to play a little bit of a shady game there. And that's a slippery slope to get into. I'm not sure what group I like best so far. I like the NCR better than the Enclave. But the Brotherhood of Steel, I still enjoy. So I don't know. I'm torn. I like both those sides.
As you were talking about sliding back into some shady dealings, it made me think of a Matthew McConaughey quote, of all things, from the movie A Time to Kill. He's talking to the jury, and he talks about how we strive for justice to be blind, but justice can never be blind because it is people who are administering it, and people aren't blind. And I just remember hearing that the first time I saw that movie and thinking yeah, but that expands so far beyond just justice. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, that pertains to history because people record history. It, of course, pertains to government because people actually enact the government. So if you get the wrong people in there, backsliding into some shady dealings is not at all surprising.
Yep.
Especially because doing things with less integrity is very often a fear-based reaction that people have. They're afraid of not being strong enough to do something, and so they get underhanded and they cheat. They're afraid of, losing something valuable, so they get greedy and, so many things like that. But fear-based responses are things that our governments will do because it's people doing them.
You'll let us know what you thought about this down below in the comments. And if you want early access to our Fallout reactions, check out the description of this video. We got a link to our Patreon, as well as a playlist for all of our Fallout reactions on YouTube right now. Thanks so much for checking out our reaction for Fallout, the Storyteller series, Season 1, Episode 6. But just keep in mind
that our reaction is definitely not definitive.